Hello and welcome to this video. As followers of the channel know, I am a huge fan of Bitwig and this has not changed in the slightest with version 4. In fact, I'm happier than ever with my choice of DAW. However, it also does not mean necessarily that I'm happy with everything that they have done. Well, unfortunately for me, the browser is quite essential to my workflow, and I have to admit it was one of the things that convinced me to switch over to Bitwig in the first place. Now in this video, instead of complaining, I will try to emphasize the features I liked so much about Bitwig 4's browsers and why it might be worth having some of them back or reintroduce them in the new browser, which is, by the way, not all bad. So, okay, now that all being said, let's get started. Let's look at an example first. And now, Omnisphere here is known to have one of the best browsers out there. And why is that? The reason for that is that you have a lot of information displayed in a non-confusing way, and you can narrow your searches very quickly. For example, I'm looking for pads and strings, and I'm looking for airy pads, and maybe I'm on an ambient track, so I can just go from left to right and select everything I want, and maybe complex. And now I'm down to a very small selection from, I don't know, a pool of thousands of sounds. And this is very powerful. And it's also cool that I see everything at once because, well, maybe complex and ambient is good, but, well, maybe let's see what we have in the glassy section. Or maybe I don't want to restrict the selection here at all. And, you know, this is very, I think, as intuitive as it gets, and it allows you to narrow down your searches with a few clicks. Now, there's one browser I think is even more powerful, and this is Bitwig's browsers. Now, a lot of people are a bit confused at first, and, well, this is kind of understandable. And also, it displays some information I couldn't care less about. I mean, why do I care where my VSTs are stored on a hard drive? I also don't really care about whether it's a VST2 or a VST3. So, but there's an easy fix. I can just say, well, don't show me the file type, and, well, don't show me the location either. And now the browser is configured. And now, well, I have an Omnisphere now. An EQ would maybe be useful. And I could just select this, and now it kind of narrows down this column here. And the reason why I also think this is useful, aside from, you know, being very fast, is that it shows me, I have here this kind of Tunstrom equalizer. We all have tons and tons of plugins, and maybe sometimes don't remember that we have something in our collection. But now I'm seeing it and like, oh yeah, okay, spectral EQ, cool. Let's try that out. And here we are. Now let's look at an empty instrument track. Double click here. And as you can see, I have my favorites here. I have collections here. I can also create smart collections. So this is not a Bitwig 5 features. This has been here. And also I would say, you know, instead of looking at the generic icon, which I have to hover over to actually realize what's in it, I have a text. It immediately tells me what's in there. And here I have my wavetable synths. And then, you know, it reduces all the others. It uses the categories and to create the category automatically to what's available. And, well, the list is small enough, but I can further reduce it to X for records and then go to Serum. Or I can right-click and say, clear all the filters. Now, I also set this to any device type, right? Instead of usually it would have instrument, or I can also say I want instrument and note effects, because that's the most likely I want to insert. I can set up further kind of filters, and then also what was kind of promoted in Bitwig 5 browser, I can say, remember selected filters when adding to empty instrument track, and let's do that. Okay, now whenever I open a new instrument tracks, the selection and the look and feel, including search strings, will be remembered. So That has always been here. What I also like is, when I don't care about devices, I can just switch over to presets. Not all VSDs expose their presets, unfortunately, but this is, pretty much like the browser we saw in Omnispheres. And now I don't even have to care about what kind of plugin it is. I'm just searching for a pad, and analog sounds nice. And then, I know ArcSun makes some beautiful pads. And here I am, everything reduced to my search criteria. And also here I can have collections. And as you can see, they have different names. So this is a preset collection, which contains, for example, all my full-on bases. Now let me clear the filters first. And here are my bases. Well, I'm the only creator of this. And here I see the tags. I can select one. And of course, it doesn't find it because, I have created this with Bitwig 5. But here you can also see the tags that I assign to it. And whenever I select one of these tags, I can select multiple of them. And then this further kind of reduces the search. And it's actually synonymous with that here. And I can also see the location here. Well, if I care about the location, I can just click on here, on presets, and then it automatically shows the lane or the row when I have set the default, even if I have to set the default to hidden. And there are further things I can do here, which I don't need to go in. Then, at the multi-sample tab, to be honest, I don't know why this is not integrated with presets. In my opinion, that could well be done. Samples are another matter. And you can also see here I have, again, another browser with different collections which concern samples. And here, for example, I like to see all the different locations at a glance. Also here, you can see I had this file type location here. I didn't like it, so I just hid it. And, this tree doesn't look too pretty. I mean, it is very intuitive, actually. I mean, this is all the Bitwig stuff. These are all the Bitwig sample packs or packs in general. Here are third-party stuff. I mean, I agree the new browser looks prettier, but functionally, I would say this still wins the prize. What I also prefer is how samples are displayed. Instead of having them in a small little window here, I have the full length of the browser where that I can use to navigate my sample and all the meta information. And there's not so much empty space, right? I mean, the space is much better used. And what I also like, this is also still available in Bitwig 5, is this here. This is the path where the sample is located. And I can just click on this. And now it shows me all samples which are in this location. The same is, of course, true when you open a sample browser, where it is automatically limited to whatever is relevant for that instrument, and it is as configurable. You can also say remember selected filter when browsing sampler resources. So, and of course, it also applies to modulator. Well, here we don't have that many modulator that it would make a lot of sense, but if you want, you can create your collections and smart collections here as well. Now, the only problem I have with Bitwig 5's browser is that while these rows are all there, I cannot display them. So I cannot narrow my searches as quickly, and this costs an enormous amount of time. Well, to some extent, you can use key commands, which would be nice if we could do it here as well, but here it's not even necessary. And you can even use your arrow keys. If you're kind of the keyboard type of guy, you can go EQ, enter, select it, go over and insert it. This is probably a bit geeky, but Yeah, and it's just so fast. I go to my equalizer. Yeah, I want Bitwig's EQ plus, and well, I can, when I double click, it inserts it. But if I go back, EQ plus, when I now switch to presets, it has already set the filter to show only presets which are relevant for the equalizer. And I actually like having this separated to not lump in devices and presets in one area. That's just personal preference. And now I see what kind of categories that I have. Like, oh, effects. Effects are really nice. Well, this one won't work because I've created it with Bitwig 5. But let's filter it to my then com equalizer. Yeah. And here we go. So I just think this kind of way of navigating through a tree structure is very intuitive. And again, you know, if you don't like it, you can just go here and hide everything away. Now, the advantage of Bitwig 5 is that these rows are always accessible. The only thing I want is give me the ability to right-click and make it permanent so that it shows up in my browser configuration. Everybody who's not interested in it, leave it as is. So let's maybe make a little example. Let's say I'm searching for a distortion, and I know Softtube has a wonderful one. Oh yeah, here it is, the white amp. So let's do the same thing in Bitwig 5. You know, when you get a little bit familiar, it's not so complicated. So we would have to go to, see, I already have to think, here. And here we can select equalizer. But here we don't have any plugins displayed, so we have to go over to plugins. When you go to plugins, we have a vendor tab, and now I can go to Arturia or, well, whatever vendor I want, and then select the plugin. Now, while this is not a disaster, it is definitely not as fast. And what I ended up doing, so kind of, you know, everything is kind of coping in this browser. You try to make it work. So now here, up here, I have a lot of categories. Here, I kind of have a different set of categories. But, you know, what I ended up doing is I go to everything and then select devices and plugins. And I don't want to select the presets because I don't like if it displays presets in my browser. And having these two selected, I can then go and browser settings and save this whenever inserting an audio effect. I think this, for my workflow, is quicker. And I think, well, you know, Bitwig 5's browser is by no means bad. So let me know what you think. Do you like the new browser? Do you like the old browser? Do you think like me, who thinks that the new browser is fine? It should be augmented with some features from the old browser. I mean, basically, yeah, all I need is a drop down here, and then I need a way to pin this row permanently to the screen, pretty much like I could do in the old browser, and then I'm all happy. And I'm all happy with the new browser. I will shut up and never say anything again. Okay, peace out.